Hello, welcome to Tea with the Druid, number 254. This is Philip Carr-Gomm, and Tea with the Druid is brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. I am broadcasting to you from a cupboard. You can see, look, I'm in a cupboard, and it's in the mountains of Bulgaria. And I can see that lots of people have arrived already, and how lovely to see you. I hope you can hear me. I hope the tech is working correctly. And I can see that there are people from Poland and Sweden and Somerset and Dallas and North Germany and Pender Island and Cambridge. Fantastic. San Francisco Bay Area and London, Texas and Germany and so on. That's just fantastic. Welcome. Do gather round in our sacred circle for this Beltane Eve, or if you're down in the southern hemisphere, for Samhain Eve. That's one of the extraordinary things about these festivals, is we come together at one level going through completely opposite kinds of experience. You know, in the southern hemisphere, everybody's tipping into winter, going into the dark time of the ancestors, of honoring those who've gone before us and so on, and while we're pitching ourselves into summer. And yet somehow we meet. We're at the center of the circle. So here we are. While you get comfortable in the circle, I'll tell you what came to mind just before I switched the button on. There was a psychoanalyst called Otto Rank, very interesting man who wrote a lot about creativity, very obscure, difficult to read, translated, his ideas translated really powerfully by a chap called Ernest Becker, who wrote a book called The Denial of Death. Very powerful, wonderful book. And on YouTube, you can find his ideas articulated by a guy whose name has just slipped out of my mind, but it's something like Sanford, sorry. And he's one of a kind, so there's nobody else doing it as far as I'm aware, and probably doing a tremendous disservice to Otto Rank. My memory is that his kind of approach distilled down to there being two primary kind of dynamics in people, and that some of us are seeking to push out, to be heard, to be noticed, to make our mark in the world, while others of us are seeking to retract. Who knows whether this is true or not, but let's just go with this for the moment, and go with it to the extent of just tuning in now and asking yourself, well, as a way of talking about how I'm feeling now, am I wanting to go out, or am I wanting to go in? Am I wanting to tuck in, or am I wanting to be seen out in the world? Just ask yourself that and see what thoughts come up with for you. And then if you feel like it, it'd be lovely if you could share those thoughts to get a sense of where you're at. Ines feels like the going inward. That's interesting. Thank you, Ines. Retracting, suffering allergies or a cold, feel more like the wandering dead than the flower maiden today. Right. I'm wanting to do both simultaneously. Aha. A bit of in and a bit of out. Okay. To tuck in order to go out. Oh, great. Withdrawing since about the age of 50. I want to express out in the world. A bit of both. Lots of bits of both. Yeah. Elaine, both in, tuck in. Yes, I'm normally inward, but feel like being outside today. Feel moved to observed. Needing to retreat for a moment. I wish I could do moderation occasionally. Inward, lots of inwards. I feel like retracting from mainstream thinking. Introverted. I feel hermitish. Can't think straight. Sorry, it's going so fast. There's so many of us here. There are over 200 of us here, all okay, outwardly radiating today, needing to pull in. A friend is moving away. Back to the cave for me. Bits of both, mostly inward. both with love. Hard to explain, but the need to feel the need to expand within myself. Isolated. The tarot card I pulled for May is the Hermit. Now, this is very interesting. Okay, definitely more inward. Okay. So, well, this is it. This is really fascinating. Thank you so much. Keep them coming. If you haven't written yours yet, do, because of course, I'll read these later, and you can read them later as well. So, I wonder if that's something to do with the particular weather we've been having, which has been very wintry. I mean, here in Bulgaria in May, it would be pretty warm by now. And it's chilly as it is over in the UK where we came from. So Rachel says that she felt a shift at sunset today. Okay, well, I'll tell you why I thought of that. There's just something to play with. Otto Rank's idea that, it's a sort of variation on the extrovert introvert idea, but he talks specifically about it in terms of creativity. So, letting go of Otto Rank for the moment, let's tune into this energy of Beltane, because one of the things I think that Beltane is urging us towards is this outward manifesting energy. At the opposite side of the year, it's very much inward. It's going in, as we enter the dark half of the year, it's a time where we turn to studies. We want the safety of the four walls around us. We naturally turn inwards. It's no accident, I think, that the academic year starts in the autumn. And at the opposite time of year, Beltane, the gradually lengthening days, which from the previous festival, the spring equinox, became that the days became longer than the nights. So the energy is getting stronger. By Beltane, the forces of nature are really sort of pushing us, I think, to turn outwards into the world. And here, I think we could perhaps say that Beltane is the time where those seeds of intention that we were perhaps inseminated with at the winter solstice, but clarified in the at Imbolc, and then clarified even more and began to sow at Alban Isla, the spring equinox. Now, as Beltane comes, we are rolling up our sleeves and getting involved in the world. You may even find at the extreme, this is a time when the sort of work of inner development no longer takes the focus, and your focus moves outwards. And Druidry, I think, is a rather interesting spirituality, and I guess all nature spirituality is such, where we're trying to transcend dualities and not think in either or terms. And yet there's a way in which we could say that perhaps it's allowing us to engage with the world in our full sort of capacity as spiritual and physical beings, but with less focus perhaps on inner workings and inner development. Perhaps the time for focusing on inner development is the other side of the summer, as we start to harvest our memories and experiences. The thing with all these ideas is that our individual circumstances are so different that we must never feel that we're out of step because we're not feeling in the same way that somebody like me is expressing. All sorts of interesting comments. I won't be distracted. I'm going to read them afterwards. They look fantastic. So where were we? So we're talking about this outward pull, and the outward pull at Beltane is as the plants start to grow and the trees come into leaf and the sun starts to grow stronger. It's as if we're given more energy to do and act in the world. And part of this doing and acting is what you might call active loving. Beltane in some of the books is talked about as as being focused on sexuality and on mating and on coupling, on and yes, it's the most obvious festival for that theme. But let's take it in its widest sense, that it's not only about the rising of sap, the rising of libido, if you like, but also about the coming together uh, of us with the world, so that our mate isn't just a physical mate, or in these more psychologically informed times, we can talk about Beltane being a time when we marry ourselves, where we come to unite within ourselves. So it's a time not only of union with a mate, inner or outer, but also of union with the land, where we actually come out into the world and engage with it. So interestingly, Beltane is a time where we become aware of duality, the twin fires of Beltane depicting that. But then through that engagement, through walking through the twin fires, we come into a sense of oneness with the land, with the earth, and with our lives. So let's see how that translates in a meditation, shall we? If you'd like to join me, you can imagine that there are 240 of us now together, 244 actually, and we're all in our individual homes, but at some level we're all together. So let's tune into that space where we're all together now. And to do that, the easiest way, I think, is probably to close one's eyes, though you don't have to, and just to become aware of being seated in front of your screen, fully present, four walls around you, floor beneath you, and the ceiling above you. And as you tune into this reality, perhaps you can also allow an awareness of another level of reality where these four walls start to dissolve. The ceiling does too, as you become aware of the sky above you, the earth beneath you, as you sense yourself gathering or having already gathered in a circle of druids, in a clearing in the forest, in the sacred grove. It's a spring evening. The sun has just set, and there's a sense of excitement in the air. You sense people gathering from east and west and north and south, coming into the circle. You establish your position where you want to sit, sitting on the ground because the ground is dry now. And you start to open to the power of the earth, feeling grounded in the earth at this time of Beltane. You take in a deep breath, hold for a moment, and then breathe out fully and deeply. And as you breathe out, you settle in to being seated on the earth. Another breath in. Hold for a moment. And then breathe out fully and deeply, feeling grounded and present in the circle. In your imagination, you allow your hands just to drift to the earth to either side of you, and you feel the earth beneath you. And it's almost as if you can feel the humming of the earth, the energy of the earth. And you feel the life of the earth flowing up into you. And then you lift your hands up and place them back in your lap. And you allow your inner eyes to open to become aware of the trees around you. You sense them rooted deep in the earth. You sense the stability, the firmness of these trees who stand here in protection and with love. You see their branches above you, and you breathe in the energy of the trees. Our mysterious guardians and guides, our brothers and sisters in this world. We greet you, dear tree spirits. And then again, you look up above the trees to see the sky above you. And you see the first stars starting to appear. You see the moon. And you allow the energy of the stars and of the moon and of the wide sky above you to flow into your being as you breathe in. So that the energy of starlight and moonlight and of the air above you to meet the energy of the earth within the center of yourself and within the center of your body. And you look to the center of the circle and you see two fires burning, the twin fires of Beltane. And as you look at these fires, you see how they form a gateway. You look through the gateway and you see the other side of the circle. You might see figures seated at the other far end of the circle. You see the darkness of the forest. And to either side of the gateway, the flames are rising up. And you realize that in some ways, this symbolizes a gateway of birth into the light half of the year, a gateway of transformation, a gateway that can heal and energize you, a gateway that can help you to engage more fully in life and in your love and in your work. And you realize too, perhaps, how long you've been waiting all through the winter months, patiently and sometimes not patiently waiting. But if you wish and if you feel the time is right, now is your chance to walk through that gateway on Beltane Eve. And one by one, you see that people in the circle are getting up and walking through the gateway. You see a person walk through and pause for a moment between the two fires, pausing to absorb the energies of the two fires, and then stepping forward to the other side of the circle until they walk clockwise around the inside of the circle to find their place again amongst us. And you know that you don't need to walk through this gateway. For you, this might happen at another time. But if you wish, choose your moment as we sit in silence. And when it feels right, step through that gateway. And when you stand with the fire to either side of you, allow the fire to cleanse you and to energize you, to bring you gifts of inspiration and energy. Before stepping forward, bowing deeply, and then taking your place, walking around the circle, feeling the energy in your body, feeling the energy in your heart. As you walk around the circle, and you might sit back in the same place, you might sit back in a different place, who knows? And sitting down, you feel at one with the earth and at one with the sky, at one with the trees around you. And you notice a chant rising up, and you join in, you begin to sing. A strong, beautiful chant that seems to come from another realm, inspired by beings from another world. As you sing, your hands float up to either side of you, and you take a hand to either side, and you find you are holding hands to either side of you, singing together. You squeeze the hand to either side of you, and you let your hands drop. The chant drops too, becomes internalized, drops into your heart and your belly. And you lift your hands to your heart, feeling the warmth there. A blessing on all life and on all lives this Beltane Eve. A blessing on all of nature. A blessing on the land. You take in a slow, deep breath. Hold. And then you breathe out fully and deeply. You do this one more time. And as you do this, your awareness of the sacred grove begins to fade. As you become aware of the four walls around you, the floor beneath you, the ceiling above you, and you sense yourself seated in front of your screen, fully present, here and now. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. A very happy Beltane to you. I hope you have a very wonderful week to come. I hope that this time of Beltane in the Northern Hemisphere and Samhain in the Southern Hemisphere ushers in a period of deepening, of beauty, of love. And thank you for your messages. I can see them. That's great. A blessed Beltane to you. And how wonderful it would be if one day we could be singing together, holding our physical hands together. And perhaps we will at a Druid camp or at a Druid gathering somewhere on the surface of this beautiful planet. So many, many blessings, much love, and see you again next week. Okay, bye.